It was initially built as a temporary prison built of wood, but it would soon become a massive state penitentiary. In the decades that followed, its halls would be engulfed in violence, disease, and death. And after 119 operational years, it closed its doors for good, leaving behind a nearly abandoned estate with countless stories of bloodshed. Today, in preparation for our ghost hunt at this very location, we're looking into West Virginia Penitentiary. This is Red Web. Welcome back, Task Force, to another episode of Red Web, the podcast all about unsolved mysteries, true crime, and the unknown. I am your resident mystery enthusiast, Trevor Collins, and joining me hearing this case for the very first time, Alfredo Diaz.
All right. Hearing about it, but we're actually going to go to the location, so that's a little,
Yeah.
I don't know how I like that. I don't know how to feel about that.
I know.
So I guess the things I'm going to hear here are the things I'm going to be exploring, which sets a different tone for me mentally. I don't think we've done like a penitentiary.
No. We did a hospital twice. We've done an inn.
Yeah.
It was like kind of like a house, a mansion, an inn, an estate. We've done the USS Hornet, so like a battleship kind of, or an aircraft carrier.
Oh, yeah, that was good. That was unique.
Yeah, that was cool. But now a state penitentiary.
I don't know. Should I just go in with like a cholo drip or something like that?
You know what?
You know what I mean? Bandana, a little sleeveless, a little teardrop, like, what's up, Holmes? Any ghosts here? You know what I mean?
Any ghouls here? Wait, was that you whistling, or was that you like swinging just random nunchucks that you pulled out of your pockets?
It could be anything, man. I don't know why. I just heard my uncles do that all the time. They're like, like little swishing noise, like, hey, what's up, folks? I'm like, what? Are we brushing something on the street? What's happening here, bro? Like, what is? I don't know, but it's just engraved into that like Spanish kind of like hood culture.
Okay.
Okay, we're swish noise.
Swish noise, okay.
I relate with the ghost at that point, you know what I mean?
You might,
A different approach,
A ghoul from 1868 is, I think, going to relate to that swish knife.
Oh, hey, game recognized game, you know what I mean?
You know what?
I can't go in there being scared, I'm not going to drop anything on the ground. I don't want to, the last thing I want is to feel a touch on the booty, a little pressure on the cheek.
Golly, where are we going with this?
It's a prison, man. I'm trying to get myself like in the headspace of a prison ghost.
Oh, you know what? That's very fair. And it's almost the most appropriate time to genuinely point to there, because the nature of the encounters we have at this location, Task Force, if you want, we do have sensitive topics in the description. It is, as Fredo's saying, a prison, and it was around for quite some time. Has a very dark history. We're going to go through all of it. Now, I do want to say, Fredo, if you didn't know, we put up 4 or 5. This is part of last year's, by the way, 5-year anniversary stream. We're finally building up to the travels ghost hunt here. And so we put it to you, Task Force, at redwebpod.com, our Patreon page, to vote on where we were going to go. And everyone loved Waverly, and the sanatorium. We were going to go there. And girl, they are booked out for the year. They drop a release date like they're Pokemon cards.
That's great. Like a sushi restaurant. There's a popular sushi restaurant here in Austin. They open their books twice a year, and then it just fills out for the entire year. Didn't realize that it was like that. Now that if that place says scariest whatever in all of America, I'm more inclined to believe that. You know what I mean? They got the attention to support it. But that's good on them.
Yeah. Task Force, we did an episode on that place if you want to go check it out. But that's the place with the body chute. It's huge. It's widely covered. But I'm really excited about this one because it is in West Virginia. It's way up north. A lot of people told us to then go to Point Pleasant because that's just down the Ohio River. That's your Mothman story of it all. But you're in the far north reaches of the Appalachian Mountains, so you still have a lot of that folklore tumbling around there. West Virginia is a beautiful state. Yeah. I will say the sister episode to this, our actual ghost investigation, will be dropping today as well as this episode. And I'll also say, given that we're actually in real time going to record that this weekend, due to some personal events that came up in my life, it's very unlikely that I'll be able to join. But, and I hate that that's happening, but Fredo and Christian are going to hold it down. Shane is going to be there to be filming them. And we also... Fredo, just plug your ears for a second. We put it to you, Task Force, in another poll to basically choose a place for one of us to isolate, to investigate first. And so that poll is still up. Well, I mean, it's past tense, but it's happening right now. People are voting on it. And so, one of these two boys.
It's got to be a part of the Patreon.
Yeah, got to be part of the Patreon. Choose your own adventure with with us here.
Don't like that.
Red Web. Yeah.
Don't like that at all. They always Task Force always chooses the worst thing ever. They couldn't have chose like the ghost hunt to be in a park in broad daylight,
Right. At noon with a picnic basket.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? There could be ghosts. Why is it always at night? Why?
There's a place we're going to talk about called the Sugar Shack, and everyone was like, that just sounds too sweet. We're not going to send you there. Well, wait till you hear its history. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time in the promos, but we do have, because it's on my mind, next Friday, July 10th, is our 6-year anniversary stream. So come celebrate 6 whole years of doing Red Web. The last 2 are exclusively funded by you guys. We're able to do this because Patreon exists. Again, redwebpod.com. Get the deleted scenes, the uncut, unedited static cameras from this investigation that are going to come out this week. We have weekly exclusives, if not more. This Friday, we're going to do a movie club on the Backrooms movie. There's just a lot happening. We also have merch at store.redwebpod.com. It's to celebrate 6 years. We're super excited about it. It's kind of like a Japanese-inspired streetwear with Mothman and other kind of yokai involved. That is exclusively for July, so get in there while you got it. Task Force members at Patreon do get a discount, and they might get an exclusive early look at it. So anyway, that's the housekeeping notes, a lot of promos, but without further ado, Fredo, let me drag you into the depths and kind of get you reeling as to what's going to happen to you guys this weekend. Moundsville Penitentiary, also known as West Virginia Penitentiary, was an operational prison from 1876 to 1995. This thing comes up quite recent, and I want you to take a look at this first photo, Fredo, because you can see just how gothic cool it looks, but how commanding its presence is.
Damn, we're going there?
Yeah!
That's too much.
It's not enough.
There's too much space.
It's a lot of space, dude.
That's too much space to explore. This place looks massive. This looks like a fortress.
I also want to address the elephant in the room. Normally, Fredo, we do the podcast in location.
Yeah.
But it's weird because this is like, we got to fly all the way there. Then we got to drive from Pittsburgh to West Virginia for it. So it's a bit of a leg. That's why we're doing it here in the comfort of our homes. Kind of drop your guard, Fredo. You know what I mean?
For some reason, my guard is fully up right now. Maybe I think it's because of the fact that it's like a prison.
Yeah, dude. The pictures inside, we're going to show some more. They're wild. They're wild. And the story here is vivid. And you're going to be in these very same halls. So the history of this prison starts in 1863 when West Virginia seceded from Virginia during the Civil War. Little crash course history for you there. Now, as a new state, they had a shortage of all sorts of public institutions, which, as you can surmise, would include prisons. And then from 1863 to 1866, the then governor, Arthur I. Borman, advocated for a state penitentiary to the West Virginia legislature. However, his lobbies were repeatedly denied, and he was told to send all the felons, confusingly, upriver to Ohio County Jail in Wheeling, West Virginia. So it's Ohio County on the Ohio River across from the state Ohio, but it's in West Virginia. This was also, I didn't know this, the state capital at this point in time. So this proved to only be a temporary solution because eventually 9 inmates escaped in 1865, and when that happened, the state finally took action. On February 7th, 1866, the state approved the purchase of land in Moundsville with the purpose of building the state penitentiary. That summer, the state built a temporary prison made out of wood nearby in order to kind of get a start. This would be nearby where the state prison would be, so that way prison officials could get more time on deciding what the design of the building would look like and how they wanted the whole thing structured up. As you saw in the first picture, the unique Gothic design is quite stunning, honestly, and it was inspired by the Joliet Correctional Center in Joliet, Illinois. The first permanent building constructed on the property was the North Wagon Gate. Some reports state that it housed male and female prisoners. We don't have a lot of information. This was mostly male-centric, but there are a few stories that include female prisoners being at this location as well. And then after the North Wagon Gate was finished, the South Hall structure and the cells were built, followed by the administration building and then the notorious North Hall. I have another image for you here. I believe this is the Wagon Gate.
Damn. Yeah, looks like just a whole gate entrance, multiple floors, 2 main floors, and then like a little shed on the top floor with a little balcony.
Almost like a little Overwatch. You can kind of...
Yeah, one little watchtower.
Yeah, an exterior panopticon.
I don't like how big this place is. I'll be honest. This place looks massive.
She big. When talking to Amanda, who is one of the location managers, she gave us a pretty rudimentary map so we could get an idea of the layout, doing a little behind the scenes scouting production with Christian, guy in the chair. And I don't know if it's for better or worse, but there's a place called the Chapel. There's some grounds, and the place is old enough and abandoned enough now that some of them might be off limits. And so despite its kind of huge size, maybe it'll still be quite big, but maybe it'll feel just a little bit smaller, a little bit cozier for you. Okay. Nuzzle up with those ghosts. Because I don't think ghosts cross caution tape either. I think they know when a haunted house is about to come down, they're about to lose their haunted living.
Maybe there's rules that we don't know about. You know what I mean?
Right. The ghoul rules are always developing.
The ghoul rules. Which if stuff hits the fan, I will not be testing those rules.
Right. Because they're mostly made up. So that's the North Wagon Gate. I wonder if that's not one of the locations we had planned for, but I'm curious if you guys can check it out.
Definitely at least want to try and walk past it. If we can, it's like, yeah, we'll walk past it. Watchtower balcony would be cool to like overlook, Yo,
I'm not going up there, dude. That's definitely... You fall through a skylight or like a floorboard's rotten and you become a ghost,
Yeah, and that's the thing that's scary about actually exploring these places is you think the danger comes from possibly running across a ghost, and really the danger comes from getting poked by like, I don't know, something that's rusted or, uneven flooring, etc.
Tetanus, asbestos, the various bumps and ghouls and hauntings of the night. Now, the entire facility was ready to go by 1876 when it officially opened and housed 251 male inmates. At the start, the prison was entirely self-sufficient. It included, this is wild, I had no idea about, this will give you an idea of the size, several different shops and industries that allowed it to fulfill its own energy needs and generate revenue. It had things like a carpentry shop, a paint shop, a farm, a bakery, a hospital, a stone yard, a tailor, a blacksmith, and it even included a coal mine that was located about a mile away from the prison. Inmates were then able to work in the mines, live in the camp at the mines. And what's also interesting is it was almost kind of dovetailed with private industry because they were then under the supervision of the mine foreman, not so much an employee of the prison.
So, I mean, this place, they seem like they really thought about it, right? I mean, like, you have prisons today and, you could work at the prison. They give you things to do.
Sure.
But they really, I feel like they're like, okay, let's get efficient, right? We're going to have this prison and then let's make sure that, we could, I don't know, I guess like fund itself. Like, that's kind of wild.
I guess. Yeah, maybe that is part of it. Part of me was like, that's kind of neat. You got tons of stuff to do. But then I go, oh, wait, that's just encaptured labor. You're just like free trapped labor. Ugh.
I mean, are they getting paid for it?
I actually don't know. Christian, I'm very curious if they are.
Some, they give them like minimum wage, some places.
Well, that would be wild. Minimum wage. I feel like it would be like pennies on the dollar,
Yeah, that's true. But also at the same time, for me, I'm like, what else am I going to do?
I'll be reading. I'll try to study or something.
That's true. Come out there ready to get a degree.
I come out there a doctor, like, oh, where'd you go? West Virginia Penitentiary. Like, whoa.
Wild.
Oh, well, all right, doc. Sounds good. Anyway, say
yeah. I'm going to operate on you now.
Yeah. Aren't I supposed to be asleep for this? Not where I come from.
No,
okay.
Not completely necessary.
Christian, I don't know if that's something you can find. Feel free to jump in if you do find something. But the prison was known to prioritize the education of inmates. This I thought was I did like this.
I love that.
Prioritize the education of inmates who regularly attended classes. This is almost kind of like a get them on their feet. And so when they're back out in the world, they can kind of go off and not be a return inmate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, if you've been incarcerated, the chances of you returning are substantially high.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's like a huge spike in percentage in terms of
repeat offenders or something.
Repeat offenders, return inmates. Yeah, for sure.
That's unfortunate, and I don't know, I don't know exactly what I'm talking about here, so I won't tread too deep, but, I think rehabilitation, having programs like this for people to either gain skills, gain knowledge. I was joking about it before, but it's true that they were doing that here, and all things considered, it seemed like the conditions were known to be pretty decent as far as prisons go for the time. That said, their conditions and the reputation of this prison would quickly take a turn for the worse. And it's almost like it started off bells and whistles, everything tip-top shape. And you're going to see as we kind of go through the story here, or the history, how rapidly it decays.
Before you move on.
Yeah.
So I couldn't find something saying exactly what the case was at West Virginia Penitentiary at the time, but it looks like generally speaking, and including the state of West Virginia, prisoners generally were paid for work that they did while incarcerated. The pay was incredibly low, like cents on the hour, but it was something.
Cents on the hour?
I mean, you could account for inflation all you want. That's not cutting it, I don't think. Doing a little bit of mental napkin math.
Yeah, better take the education route.
So over the years, the prison saw an increase in violence, earning its spot on the U.S. Department of Justice's, quote, top 10 most violent correctional facilities, end quote. It's unclear exactly what year this title was given, because it was open for 119 years. And I would imagine it was towards end of its history. And
it's one of those things too. It's like you're changing so many different, you're changing staff. You're probably changing ownership, leadership. On top of that, you just don't know if it was a big year or maybe you, in terms of I don't know, two gangs just happen to populate.
Sure.
The prison, and then that's what causes spike in violence, etc. But it's unfortunate to see that happen to the institution that was like, okay, hey, we are going to focus on your guys' education and really giving you the best shot of getting out of here and living a life. For it to turn to that, it's yeah.
I mean, it sucks. And I think a big part of this decay, as you'll find, was the overcrowding. I think you're onto something with management passing things on, and who knows with state funded, what happens with the funds, if they're decreasing, if that kind of creates pressure points, or if the desire to make this place succeed, or it starts getting taken advantage of that says, oh, that's a good prison, let's just keep sending people there until it's way beyond capacity. Whatever it is.
I could see that for sure.
Yeah. And then, of course, with various different criminals of all different walks of life and reasons for being in here, shoulder to shoulder, it really starts getting tight. It becomes a pressure cooker. Violence is almost bound to spark. So as things decayed, the scene inside the prison would become the thing of nightmares. One example is, as I mentioned, the Sugar Shack, as it was called. It was a recreational room inside the prison, infamous for gambling, violence, and sexual assaults taking place. Like I said, this episode has a lot of sensitive topics coming at you. Now, as time went on, the prison did experience pretty severe overcrowding. Because of this, in 1929, the prison underwent construction once again to expand with the goal of doubling its size. So you're right that this place is huge, and it really needed it. But this also meant that some of the inmates would be displaced for the time that this reconstruction or this remodel was underway. And the prison allegedly had no choice but to fit 3 inmates per each of the 5 by 7 foot cells. 5 feet by 7 feet, Fredo, is you and I could lay down comfortably one direction. A third person, you couldn't.
How are they sleeping? How are you throwing 3 beds in there? You're literally just scooting over to your bed and then you're just laying on your bed and that's your space?
I think it's the idea is to be a bunk bed situation. Take a look at this image of one of these cells. I think 2 prisoners would sleep in the bunk beds. And so I think some cells had a second bed above that first one. You're seeing that bench there.
Yeah.
And then another would be on a mattress on the floor.
Oh my God, that's rough.
Yeah, dude.
The toilet's right there. Oh.
Not a window to be seen.
Yeah, you're not going to be happy. These are, a lot of times they're unhappy people, because why would you be happy being confined like this? And then on top of that, you're put in that situation. Yeah, there's going to be tension. There's going to be a lot of tension.
Mm-hmm.
Very tension putting 2 people in there. Like, you don't know if they like each other or not.
And I don't know if it was these cells in particular, because we'll talk about it here in a second, but there were some convicts of the more violent variety that were confined to their cells for like 20 hours a day, if not more. And so now you can really start to picture the tense nature, the environment. And then you start to go, well, is it the chicken or the egg? Is it because they're violent that they had violent outbreaks? And or is it because just any person confined in such tight quarters that it wasn't designed for 3 people to be in there?
Good point. Literally backed into a corner, and then that's why they're, angry.
Yeah, they're like falling over each other. Now, it's unclear how long this construction went on while they're all kind of tucked away in these would have been temporary living conditions, but some reports state that they were still using prison labor to complete construction 30 years later in 1959.
That's just so much tension built up.
So much.
Like, people have passed away during that time.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And then you're like enlisting, you're basically building your next location of confinement.
Yeah.
Hopefully these guys are laying down some sort of secret tunnels or something.
But yeah, and then also you have to think that there's just no end in sight. So even if you are in this confined area in space in this terrible living situation, you're sitting there just going like, this was never going to end. This is the rest of my life now. And so yeah, you're gonna be frustrated and upset and angry.
Every minute's a lifetime.
Yeah.
And in this environment, as you can imagine, this is the history, but I want to talk about some of the intense and sometimes bizarre instances that happen throughout these years. Let's talk about some executions, some of the riots, and some of the prison breaks. And then once we talk about these, we'll talk about some of the hot spots, because I think you need to know what happened in these locations to understand why people feel certain things in these very same rooms. Hey there, Task Force. This is Trevor coming to you here where we normally talk about our wonderful sponsors, but today the sponsor is you. That's right, the Task Force. It is all about you, and we want to thank you for your continued support at redwebpod.com. Right now, we're talking about the West Virginia Penitentiary case, and if you want to see the investigation that's happening over on YouTube, but if you want to support us financially, and the number one way to do it, go to redwebpod.com, sign up for our Patreon page, and there you're going to get access to the static cameras from this investigation, some uncut moments, all you ghoul lovers. You're going to have hours of extra material. Same thing goes for the Black Swan Inn and for our Yorktown Memorial Hospital revisit. They're all there exclusively for you. But seriously, as we come up on our 6-year anniversary, I just want to thank you all so much. Whether you support there directly or you just listen each and every week, we really appreciate you as part of our task force, and we cannot wait to celebrate with each and every one of you on July 10th at 2 p.m. Central Time. That is when we're streaming our 6-year anniversary stream, where we will have new stretch goals for new fun content to create for you guys and just have fun throughout the year. And of course, we've got our July merch coming. Now, this merch is exclusive to July, but if you are a Patreon member, it is available right now, so you can go run and get it early. Store.redwebpod.com. We're very excited about this merch. It is uniquely inspired by a lot of our interests. But anyway, thank you all so much for listening and supporting us. Once again, head to redwebpod.com. So despite its expansion, the prison proved its conditions were still pretty bad. When 15 prisoners managed to escape, this is 20 years after the expansion, on November 7th, 1979. The break started when an inmate named Jack Hart reportedly asked to be let into the prison's command center to store his barber tools. Unbeknownst to the officers, Hart had actually smuggled in a gun. He then held one officer at gunpoint, while the other officer or another one was held at knife point by another prisoner. And from there, they were able to obtain the keys to the prison waiting room, where they demanded another officer to open the gates. 13 other inmates had been hiding nearby, and then they escaped once those gates opened. So this was very much a premeditated plan. And one of those inmates was able to steal a weapon from a prison guard during this escape, and local police didn't even know about the breakout until 20 minutes after it had happened. And then after this went down, some of the escaped prisoners managed to remain at large for well over a year. So they're either in the local community or somewhere further away. You hear stories about these guys stealing weapons and running out. You don't know if they're going to be violent or not.
Yeah.
But they're just at large.
It's as wild the amount of things that people can sneak into a prison.
Truly. I feel like there should be a whole documentary just focused on that. How they sneaking things in through cakes and things and
it's just
body parts.
It's wild. It's absolutely wild the number of things they can get in. And yeah, I mean, but also it's like, I don't know, man. There's got to be some protocol. The command center, just order the barber stuff. I'd be like, look, I'll hold it for you or move it over here, but not getting in there. Granted, you would have ended up with that situation anyways because, you know, I had a gun, whatnot.
I can see him being like, well, we shouldn't leave scissors out here, sir, so let me put them in there. I got a gun. Yeah, but obviously, I mean, some of this is hindsight, you know, like we look back and we go, well, obviously, but it's because of moments like this that it becomes, I think, so obvious. Because at least for this prison, this very escape highlighted several cracks in their existing system. Notably, the lack of proper communication between the prison guard and the state police and the local law enforcement, which meant that any sort of acts in the prison, especially an escape, could kind of get further away and harder to rein in than it should have been. And so with all of these kind of different moving parts not operating well together, it just, like a savvy team of escape artists could really kind of pry that open. On New Year's Day in 1986, the prison experienced the most infamous riot in its history. During this time, the prison was undergoing several changes, which led to security being extremely thin in all aspects. Since a large portion of the inmates were convicts, it stands to reason that many of them were able to pick the locks on their cells, and thus, it seemed, were essentially free roaming these halls.
That's wild. I mean, granted, they're, very resourceful.
Mm-hmm.
But just the fact that that can happen and that did happen that's something.
Well, imagine you're a guard and you see like they're able to just get out. I think I go into the next room behind a couple more locks and go, you know what? That's the night shift's job. And what am I supposed to do? One guard up against like the ratio here is not working.
The fact there's a whole like riot is something. Yeah.
So we know about the overcrowding, but also the poor plumbing and the infestation of insects in this environment also added to this kind of bubbling cauldron that led to the riot. Like several diseases were spreading throughout this complex due to these unsanitary conditions. And also because, they're like, screw it, let me just pop my gate and walk around out here.
Right.
Now, remember when the prison first opened, it held 251. And then at some point in time in the mid-century here, it then doubled in size by the late 1950s. Well, at this time, somewhere, it was 1979, the prison was still severely overcrowded. I mean, it's 20 years on after the doubling in size, but it was holding a total of roughly 2,000 inmates when it was equipped to hold maybe half of that. Maybe.
You know, think too, like staffing. Like, how is staff going to handle that much? Are like, most likely they're not scaling properly.
Oh, God, no. Nope. The building's not scaling with the people, but you can shove people into it.
Right.
But you can't shove more guards into it, you're right. It doesn't scale. So later that day at 5:30 p.m. on January 1st, 1986, a group of 20 inmates who called themselves Avengers stormed the hall where a man named Captain Glassick and his team actually were on duty. Several hostages were taken throughout the day, but none of them were seriously injured. The riot itself ended up being quite disorganized, as those who started the riot were not necessarily prepared to take charge of it. It's almost like, again, it was a human reaction, a response to the environment they're in. And then it's like what does the Joker say? Dog chasing cars, but you catch it. What do you do with it? Now you're in control.
Right.
What's the plan now?
Yeah, good point. Like, what are we going to do? We finally got to the goal. All we focused on was the goal.
Because it felt impossible, and then they did it.
Yeah.
And by the end, dude, this riot lasted like almost 2 days. Depending on the source you look at, I think it was like 41 to 48 hours that this went down. Unfortunately, it did see the death of 3 inmates who were killed, and the cause of death for each of those inmates is unclear, depending on your sources. But some point afterward, Governor Arch A. Moore Jr. went to the prison to speak with the inmates. He's aware of how this whole thing has decayed over the century now, and in his meeting, a new set of rules and standards was put into place. I don't know if we have these rules and standards. I want to take it on good faith that he sees that this prison is falling apart and that he wants to do right by not only the prisoners, but also the environment that they're living in, and basically bring it back to doing it right. That's my hope. But we'll never know, because despite that, later that very same year, a landmark West Virginia Supreme Court ruling would determine that the severe overcrowding and poor conditions in the prison were just simply enough to not even bother. They said this constitutes cruel and unusual punishment, which I can agree with, and thus ordering this prison to close, never giving it a chance to maybe try to improve itself.
Oh, just straight up shut it down.
You're gone. Yeah. Cruel and unusual punishment. It's gone on way too long, too little too late, and I can totally get on board with that.
Yeah, same. I mean, you got someone with good intentions coming in, but when everything's been so bad for decades, it's just like human life is not being respected here.
Not at all. Not at all.
That just seems like such a big undertaking too. Like, how do you transition everybody? Where do they go, etc.? So
that's a great question. That is really the big question here, because it took about 9, almost 10 years for the prison to officially close. On March 27th, 1995, it officially closed its doors for good, pretty much because of that. Lack of funding, lack of resources, where to relocate everybody. You're right on the money. Now, the rest of the prison's history remains quite haunting. From 1899 to 1959, 94 men were executed at the prison. The primary method for execution until 1949 was hanging, and in that time, 85 men were hanged. Hangings were even available for the public viewing until June 19th, 1931, when a man named... That's already shocking enough. That was a great reaction. I know it was silent. Fredo leaned in.
Just jaw
Public
drops.
viewing.
What do you mean you can get a ticket to this? This isn't a show.
Come on, bring the daughter Susie. But then, in 1931, there was a man named Frank Heyer who was executed for the murder of his wife. However, at this moment, the trapdoor opened underneath him, he drops down, and instead of being hanged, he is decapitated. From that point on, it's not... Oh, by the way, they didn't just stop the viewings. They just limited to invitation only. So instead of this, oh yeah, on Sundays we go down to the prison and watch people dangle. Now it's like, okay, well, someone's head freaking popped off. Let's just make this VIPs only.
That's wild to me. That it didn't close it down. Like, I don't understand. Like, VIPs only? So are they charging admission? Like, what is going on here?
That's in living memory. There are people alive from 1931 when this happened. So that's like, it's not that long ago that people were like witnessing public hangings and a guy's head popped off, dude.
And they kept going, which is...
And they kept going.
Wild. I just don't understand. Like, one, if they're monetizing it, you know? And then two, the kind of people that are just like, yeah, I'll go to a public hanging. Like, what do you mean? I don't understand the want to go to something like that.
No, it doesn't compute. I mean, you go back to medieval times, you got the gallows and people like, I don't know, throwing tomatoes or whatever the comic says, you know, those illustrations or whatever. Yeah. But like, so sure, that's a thing, but I don't think I want to be like the medieval times.
No,
that sucked. And so that kind of continued on for almost another 2 decades.
That's
at least.
Wild. What do you mean?
Yeah. Well, then it didn't shift because they were like, guys, we got to stop. They shifted because in 1951, the primary mode of execution moved from hangings to electrocution. And, well, this is a wild backstory for this little chair.
Public viewing here too.
I really hope not. But as I talk about this, take a look at the next picture. The electric chair, nicknamed Old Sparky, was originally built also by an inmate, by the way, named Paul Glenn. So these guys are building their walls and they're building their period at the end of their sentence. They are building everything and doing all the jobs.
Old Sparky.
Old Sparky sounds like somebody put an upturned colander on a wire and a plug, and it's just, and it kind of looks like that too. It is sinister looking. That can't be humane, right? Like,
No.
I don't know what that would feel like, but it certainly doesn't look good.
No. Ugh. Yeah.
What's that bucket for?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's always a bucket there. Oh, don't they like grab a sponge and then put like water and stuff?
Oh, they gotta moisten you to like increase conductivity or something?
Less like burn.
Oh yeah, so the viewers don't have to smell your melting corpse. That's insidious. Dude.
That's wild. That's wild.
That's wild. Someone came up with that. Let's plug this guy in. Oh my God. Well, after this point, 9 men of these 94 or so died by electrocution. Before capital punishment was prohibited by the state a few years, I said a few years because I did a mental typo. It's over a decade. 1965. West Virginia did away with capital punishment and therefore put a kibosh on all these things. But this is the dark and sinister and morbid history that surrounds this place. You can see just like the heaviness that this place carries and why so many people think the residual energies of spirits and inmates long gone by who died here under such vicious acts of many kinds, why these halls would be tainted with angry spirits or lingering souls.
Which is also what's so terrifying about like going to this location in real life, because we've gone to hospitals and whatnot, and it's like people pass, so that that happens often at a hospital, or we go to abandoned places and less people pass. But this is a prison, you know what I mean? People are passing maybe even less than a hospital, but these are angry people.
Mm-hmm.
These are people that society deemed we could not have them out there, and they were put to death and violent, but the most humane possible way, I guess, during the whatever time that was.
So they would say.
And so it wasn't necessarily people going away peacefully or people being sad and passing away because of a sickness or anything. And so actually going there is like,
it's a heavy one, man. I think I pick up what you're putting down. At a hospital, we've talked about malpractice and certain doctors doing certain things that shouldn't be done. But for some reason, it clicks in the brain a little better because you're like, okay, well, this is a hospital. I understand that sickness, illness, especially if it's a sanatorium that focuses on like pneumonia or what have you, it will be prone to that. And it makes sense because that's the designated place for this otherwise mortal infection or illness or what have you. A prison, it doesn't carry that same, like, one expects to be dying there or one expects to be killed there or meet their end there. So there is that kind of disconnect that I think does make a prison a little bit weirder, a little bit more unsettling, I think is just the right word. Yeah.
I completely agree.
But with all that said, throughout the years, I believe this was also when it was active because there were several guards, several inmates. They have reported strange paranormal happenings. And of course, all the way up through today, whether it be like televised ghost investigators all the way down to YouTube level ghost investigators and hobbyists have all reported things here. Some have heard strange sounds, suddenly feel icy cold spots, maybe on your cheek if you dropped a phone battery or something. But people have also seen full-blown apparitions. I also read about a lot of encounters on Reddit and through YouTube investigations where people felt a hand on their arm and in a few cases actually felt like they were being yanked or like grabbed.
Absolutely not.
Not just touched.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. No way. What do you do though in that moment if you feel like a hand on a steady hand?
Instinctively, I'm swinging.
Really? What if it's like a reassuring?
I'm swinging on the air.
Yeah, you're going to...
I just don't know. I just think, you know what I mean? Instinctively. Yeah. So don't play any jokes on me because you might get clocked. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I'm definitely going to like peel back, but am I going to fight a ghost? Absolutely not. But that's just what my body's going to react, Fight a ghost. You get 2 splashes in the holy water and you've got a fist that can clock a ghost. That's what I'm saying. Maybe, I've always joked about dunking my arms in holy water and then swinging on a ghost, but that might be the way.
What if it was like an anime moment where you had like a globule or like a little one of those ball water bottles, you pop that cork and then and then you see like your chi, your aura start to glow because now your whole,
the ghost's definitely going to be seeing it.
And now your whole body, you know, is glowing because you've now, like Frodo wearing the ring, you've now entered that next realm. You're half foot in, half foot out. Danny Phantom, clock this ghost. They're scared, they're running. Capture him in a Pokeball. I'm losing my references. But do you think, hold on, could you do that? Could you capture a ghost in a Pokeball?
Ghostbusters essentially did.
That's true. And that's what Haunter is. Haunter is just a guy wandering around a cemetery, and then Ash Ketchum comes along.
That's true. That's true.
Well, Gengar's just a freak, dude. That's just a guy.
He's a freak.
Yeah.
Bro.
But anyway, what if, I mean, I'm just saying, it doesn't have to be scary. Maybe it's not even cold. Maybe it's a warm, reassuring hand on your shoulder, you know?
I'll be honest, don't touch me.
Okay, fair enough. In that environment, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. Like, reach out in some other way. If physically touch me, I'm terrified. I'm scared. I'm on the defensive. You gotta approach me like a sweet baby bird.
Okay. Like a canary in the coal mine?
You know what I mean? Like, ease me into your supernatural world.
Okay. Talking about like Jensen Ackles or whatever? You talking about him, strong arms, easing you into supernatural? Again, I'm losing my references. I need to move on.
I know all of these references, though. They're fire. They're fire references.
I don't know who I'm playing to, Fredo. Okay. So people talk about like feeling things. That was a very common one I saw online, but allegedly a former inmate had this to say about that. They said that they were at the top of stairs and they, again, allegedly were forced down the stairs, like a force kind of pushed them, and that's why they took a tumble down the stairs. And that's not often a claim you hear. Like maybe scratches, maybe like, you know, I felt like a poke, but rarely do you see or hear of something that's so vicious, right? So like big. Now, like we always talk about theories in a lot of our unsolved cases and even true crime and paranormal cases. But when it comes to the paranormal, you know, it kind of comes down to the same theories here. Like if the other side does exist, if there is some sort of ephemeral veil that we cross over, a lot of people believe that the violent deaths within these prison walls were such that it would almost leave an imprint of these people here.
Yeah, that makes
echoes
sense.
of who they were, or even just their actual selves, their souls, their spirits being trapped here maybe. Others argue that the morbid energy and the repeated deaths in violent conditions simply themselves left a lasting mark on the building and either A, caused residual hauntings, or B, kind of play to the psychology of a person. You know, when you're in a dark, dank, decrepit place way after sunset, something seeks into your brain. Like, you do start to hear and see things, and that's why, you know, Fredo, we always try to not be the wet blanket, but we gotta debunk stuff when we can.
Yeah, you have to. You have to debunk it. You have to try and like, because otherwise you just run around believing anything, right?
Sure.
And anything
right.
is anything. But that's how you know the past couple of ghost hunts and we just were hearing stuff. It's like, I hope for the task force, it's like, oh, they're experiencing something in that moment that they cannot explain themselves. And that's the thing, right? It's like, I am more than willing to believe, but I am also in the realm of like, hey, I need to have some type of tangible proof because I can't just go blindly believing.
Especially since it's also fascinating. I don't want to believe anything just because it validates my interest. Because I know inside that's not actually validating it, you know? It's just like, so I want the piece of evidence that I can't explain, but am I going to get that levitating table and the glass that shoots across the room? Like, no.
Yeah.
The holy grail of all sorts of paranormal activity. But anyway, that's our approach, Task Force, as you know. But in this next one is another theory or reason as to why this place is haunted. And this is usually something I'm very, very cautious about bringing up, but it actually applies here. So there's reason to believe, amongst many who discuss this location, that the prison was built upon a sacred ancient burial ground of the Adena tribe. Now again, people like to just throw that out there, and it's the foundation for a lot of stories, of course, but truly just across the street from this prison, like you look out the front door, maybe 1,000 feet, maybe less, you have the Grave Creek Mound Archaeological Complex, which is reportedly the largest and last remaining Adena burial mound. And so, yes, there were people laid to rest in this burial mound, and whether it be a burial mound or a traditional grave site or anything in between, where people die, there almost are always stories that follow of the afterlife and residual spirits. And so people are kind of saying, well, because this like very terrible history of this prison is also right next to this burial ground, you put the two together and it's a hot spot for ghosts, right?
Yeah, I mean, that just adds more to it, right? You're just, at this point, you're just slapping all the places that could produce paranormal activity in a close proximity to each other. And you think like, okay, if this is real, then they're just going to feed off of one another.
Absolutely.
And the crazy thing is, again, we're going there, so I'll be able to look across the street and be like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to go into this prison. That's, that's cool. Thanks, Task Force. Yeah, really fantastic there.
By your votes, Fredo will tread those grounds. All right. So now the pièce de résistance, the hot spots, the common sightings, the things you guys are going to be looking out for, whether it is antagonistic or polite. You'll have to find your strategy here. But there's a lot of common reportings. And the first one reminds me vividly of what me, but even more so Christian and Shane saw when we went back to Yorktown Memorial Hospital. So that is the Shadow Man. This is one of the most well-known and most reported ghosts said to inhabit the grounds here. He's described as a large, dark figure with glowing eyes, and some speculate that it could be the spirit of a former inmate, perhaps who died in his cell, but no one specifically has been named and attributed to the Shadow Man.
That was going to be my question, is like, who? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a good person? A bad person?
It's a good question.
As in, like, were they a guard? Were they, like, who were they? Were they one of the worst inmates that walked the grounds?
That's the thing. Mm-hmm. So many have reported that the shadowy figure is usually watching them from various distances, but they can kind of, like, they feel like they're being watched, and sometimes, like, out of the corner of their eye, they catch it, and usually he's watching you from behind the bars. Now that makes it sound like it's in one of the cells, but if you're in a cell and it's behind the bars, maybe it is a guard. We don't know. Now some have said that they often feel like a sudden cold breath on the back of their necks. Others have seen this Shadow Man dart from corner to corner and move through solid objects when looked at.
I don't like none of that. I didn't even think about darting figures across. Don't dart. You know what I mean?
A dart is like the most unsettling move one could make.
Yeah, I agree. Don't dart. Don't creepily stand there.
Don't dart. Don't jerk. Don't twist.
If anything, like a slow pacing would probably be the least scary.
Okay, like a slow shamble at you.
Yeah, or just down the hall, like crossing. Not at me. It doesn't have to be at me.
Oh. Across the hall, like, okay, I see.
But like, the extreme, like if it's darting around, it just feels like it's so vivid in the sense of like, okay, you have clearly mastered the ability to be a paranormal entity here. You're not just like, I can barely talk to you through this spirit box, or I can kind of push something across the ground. It's like, nah,
I'm here.
Yeah. And you're him.
And I'm him.
You're him.
I'm him and I'm here.
If you're darting around, then you have some level of control here.
Task Force, if you please go check out that Yorktown Memorial ghost hunt that we revisited. But speaking of this darting, I was just kind of like refreshing my knowledge of the history of this place, looking down at my notes, wandering as Christian and Shane were setting up cameras, and wandered down the hall. And I happened to see like just a dark figure in the middle of, it's a dark hall, but a darker figure right in the middle. And when I look, it's like it flicked away with my vision. And so I'm like, maybe that's just something in my eyes. Like maybe that's just, it moved with my eye movement, so I don't think of anything. But then I realized how deep in the building I was. And then Christian saw something.
Yeah.
And then Shane saw something. And it supposedly looked like you, but you were certainly not in the building.
Right. And the big thing there is the fact of just like, that's when I had the most interaction with something.
Yes.
And so it just, when you look at it as a whole altogether, that's where you go, oh, there's possibly something that night that really latched on to me. I don't like to think of it that way. I like to think of just, just circumstances and maybe something happened. But that's definitely what you can kind of get at there for sure.
The first and so far only time where we were like, let's just call it. Let's get out of here. We got enough. This is.
Yeah, we really did. We really said, you know what? We've got, what more could we ask for? Let's not push it here.
Right.
Yeah, that was smart.
Mm-hmm.
We genuine fear, calm, not panic fear, but we had genuine calm fear. We're just like, no, let's just wrap up and go.
We gotta go.
That's wild. We really did it. We really did that.
Yeah. And I was in a different place. Closed my eyes, noise canceling headphones. I'm just saying words. I kind of teleported away. So when I came back and you guys were like, Chris was like, I was seconds from ending this if you, Fredo, didn't end this. And then you was like, can we just leave? I think I just kind of want to go. And I'm like, that coming back to that was so unsettling.
Yeah, you really came back from being just hyper focused and locked in to just a room full of tension.
Yeah.
It's just you're just like, what's happening, guys? What's going on? And we're just like, no.
Yeah, that one was tough. Tough to explain all the things that stacked. I mean, we did our best when we did the debrief. There's things we kind of pull apart, but it was wild. Okay, let's talk about the Shadow Man. Similar to the Shadow Man, I don't know if this is more or less unsettling, but some have reported seeing a faceless man wander the halls, moving through solid objects. Again, we don't often we hear about ghosts. We know ghosts phase through walls. I don't often encounter stories where people are like, no, this figure moves through walls. It doesn't come down the stairs. It doesn't stand wistfully in the window. It moves through things, tables, chairs, doors, bars.
What do you do? You know what I'm saying? What do you do against something that can move through walls? You are at its mercy.
Listen, if it can move through things, maybe it can't touch me. Oh, but maybe it can do spirit damage, it can't grab me, but it can grab my inside ghost.
Oh.
Maybe we're just flesh puppets with ghosts inside us.
Man, you're really relying on just hope of random rules you're throwing out there right now.
I know. I'm like, you know what? That's why you don't mess with it.
Maybe it can't hurt me. I'm like, we have nothing to back that up. That's just hope.
If you saw that comment, it is time to move. You better not be the slowest. You better not be the fastest, because it could be a trap.
Yeah, you want to be right in the middle.
Right.
Imagine that weird spree of everyone just trying to be in the middle.
Yeah, you go ahead. No, you go behind.
Yeah. No. Fast, too fast. No, too slow. Look, I love y'all, but I'll be honest. If I see something like that, I'm gonna start running, and you guys just run with me. Don't ask questions. Just go with me. All right.
That's the rule. That's the true ghoul rule. Is if someone starts running, you just run.
I'm not gonna question it. I'm boots, feet up and down at a fast pace out of the building. The unfortunate thing is that this is a whole prison, and so that's a very large building.
Yeah. Don't get lost. You get stuck. You get dead ended by Pennywise in the sewers, and you're just stuck in a cage with this ever approaching, slow walking, faceless man.
That's a very good point. Could very much get lost because you're just panic running at that point. You might trip, and I mean, you watch these horror movies. We watch them during movie club, and we're just like, oh, how'd you trip there? And so you're running in the dark at full speed, man. You're not looking, and everyone's always attempted to look back at everything.
I think that's why you always wear glasses, even if you don't need them. So that way, when you fall and the glasses come off, the ghost thinks they got you with their oh, I got him with my trap card. But you're like, you didn't even know I didn't need those. That's your sacrificial lamb. You go, oh, my glasses. And then you run. Okay, faceless man, not much more to say about him, although some people speculate that it is the ghost of an inmate who was beaten to death, and beaten so violently, in fact, that the body was disfigured to the point that he was unrecognizable, and then came back because of this heated energy, and his spirit maintained this kind of ambiguous, almost disfigured look where he's faceless now. Moving on, before we talk about the Sugar Shack and the North Hall, two of the very, very hot spots, one more specific entity has been seen around this place. So it is, as many places have, called the Lady in White. Now, I'm always so curious why we always have ladies in Victorian white dresses.
Yeah.
Something to that.
Is it just because it's of its time? And then so we're going to start seeing, hold on now.
Go hit me with it. What are we looking at?
Is the new era of ghosts, because, just will evolve. Are they goth mommies?
We got goth mommy ghosts. We're the 90s parachute pants ghosts. I'm looking for 80s mullet ghosts.
Yeah, we're the ghosts of the times. And like that's.
And we're the shadow daddy ghosts, with their 10 rings.
Oh my goodness! You have the shadow daddies, and then you have the goth mommy ghosts. That's everyone. Just like I will take me. It's like, guys.
Could you imagine?
No.
Are you there? It's like the year is 2137 and we're ghost investigating. And they say some sort of like future slang like no cap. And then they go, is there anyone here? And then you hear like, yeah. Just in the far distance, just far down a hallway. You hear, mommy? And you're like, what? I don't know. Maybe Boo was the 19th century equivalent of like mommy. And so that's what, so we're just hearing like
I just walk
Victorian
out. I'm
baddies.
not dealing with this ghost. I'm just
we're
not.
moving from Victorian baddies to goth baddies.
Like the minute I call out to a ghost and the ghost replies back, "What's up, chat?" I'm out. I'm out, dude.
Listen,
I'm quitting the game.
What's up, chat, dude?
Like, I'm just not. The ghost over here is like, "Oh no, your cortisol level's spiking." I'm out. Goodbye.
Right.
Ghost trying to mog on me. It's like, get me out of here. I'm too old for this.
You got mogged by a ghost.
It's not.
Yeah, dude. I don't know what Gen Alpha ghosts are going to start looking like, but or what they're going to say and do, but it's going to be weird. Because I think I read an article not too long ago that was like, oh, the reason why you don't see ghosts from way, way back in the day is because like they die, like ghosts fade away or whatever.
Oh.
So I'm like, oh, that's a convenient excuse as to why we only see ghosts from a very short era. And they also always happen to speak whatever language the investigators speak.
It does make me think too, then, again, like I'm saying, it's going to cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to get a new era of ghosts.
I'll genuinely be curious to see how this whole realm evolves as we get old and gray. Okay, so the Lady in White. She's reportedly the ghost of a woman who roams the prison. As her name suggests, she wears a long white gown, and some claim that she is the ghost of a woman who was sent to the prison for murdering her child back before it became a male-only penitentiary.
Oh.
As the story goes, yeah, and I don't know if we have a name to attribute to this person or if this is just kind of like a speculated story to add to the mysterious circumstances here. But as the story goes, she was reportedly sentenced in life from prison, but died under those, quote, mysterious circumstances soon after her arrival. And so, ghost stories are always a little bit elevated, a little bit word of mouth, telephone, exaggerated. But regardless, many people have seen her, and she is often seen roaming the halls and standing still, sometimes looking out windows, way less eerie than her male counterparts, it would seem. But some have even reported hearing her weep or whisper to herself further away in the halls. But yeah, that's the woman in white.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. But then also, it's one of those things that we never really truly had proof that there were, which is wild to me, that there were women in the penitentiary.
It's not that there weren't proof. It was just a short period of time. And I think it's more that we don't know that a woman that killed her child factually went here. I guess I'll say that I know, we just don't have her name. And so we can't fact check the story, or if the story is real or exaggerated or applied to this commonly seen ghost. But there were women during a short period of time for sure.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, this prison went through everything.
Oh, yeah. I mean, people came and went on this planet as this prison was around. It saw a lot. From the end of a civil war to the 90s, the end of the Cold War. Dude, that's wild. Okay, so let's now finally, I teased it enough, talk about that Sugar Shack. Before I mentioned some of the heinous things happening there. but it is one of the greatest hotspots for paranormal activity here on location. In this room, many report hearing hushed talking, some whispers, sometimes arguments. So this will be a really interesting place to kind of maybe do some EVPs or talking out into the room. The Sugar Shack is located in the basement level, so you know it's already got a bonus point there. And some claim that, as you can imagine, the entire basement area is haunted. I believe, if I was looking at the map correctly, Christian, I'm not sure if you saw this, there is a boiler room. I believe that's what the task force is currently voting on for somebody to do some solo investigation.
Oh, man.
Some of the task force even have been here, and they're like, that boiler room sucks. So, like, they all went right for it. I think that is in the basement, Christian. I can't recall.
The boiler room is indeed in the basement, according to the map we got.
Yeah, okay. So...
Of course it is.
Yeah. That reminds me of Penhurst Asylum. There was a boiler room there where the king, or just king, was said to be. Yeah, not good vibes.
That's where you guys are feeling a lot of touching on the shoulder, like things behind you guys.
Yeah, that place was huge and wild and not a great time for many reasons. It started with bats swarming over our heads, so that was very interesting. Okay, so it's said that here in the Sugar Shack, there was once a maintenance man who worked on the basement level. However, he was known to spy on prisoners, listen into their conversations, and then he would snitch to the guards about any news or infractions he was hearing from them, and because of this, he was stabbed several times in the bathroom located in the basement. So I guess this isn't the sugar room, sorry, this is the broader basement in general. But attacked by prisoners, stabbed in the basement bathroom, and it's said that he still wanders around the basement looking for bad behavior. So I don't know if you guys want to start gossiping, dropping some hot goss.
My bravery thing now is to antagonize.
It is. You've been very brave lately, dude. In Yorktown, you got big brave.
Yeah, I keep forgetting. Then I keep going. I keep forgetting, and I just keep thinking like, yeah, it can't be that.
Right. Well,
it can't be real.
Yeah, until it feels real.
See, I'm messing around now. I'm about to find out.
Yup. So you come in all cholo style, and this guy's gonna be ready for you. You know, he's gonna maintenance you.
He's not gonna put up with my shenanigans.
Well, here's the thing. Still looking for bad behavior. I'm sorry to say, because it does sound like it's a real story. He was the guy that got jumped. I mean, maybe you learn your lesson. Maybe you look out for goody two shoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who's that guy with the two penny shoes and the shiny leathers? I don't know why the maintenance man is a 5-year-old boy, but who's this guy coming down here?
Who's this guy? I will. I mean, here's the thing. I have to put on a convincing bad boy act. Is what I'll have to do.
Okay, you're gonna wake up a past you, shake it all that modern softness.
Yeah.
You know,
go back to gangster ways. You know.
Yeah. Okay. So another spot you most invariably will end up in, because it is one of the main areas and it is very prominent, is the North Hall. It is also known as a hotspot for paranormal activity. It's why I'm covering it. I don't know why I wrote that in the notes, but this wing of the prison housed the most dangerous criminals. Those who were locked in their cells for, I said 20 hours a day, sometimes up to 23 hours a day.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, because you did say 20, which is already way too much.
Yeah. So 1 free hour of rec time, get some sun, get some vitamin D, get back into your cell.
I don't know why people are upset.
Mm-hmm. So in this area, many experience equipment malfunctions. They report hearing the sound of cell doors banging, and specifically, the cell of a man named Red Snyder is said to be extra haunted. And I was talking to Kat, she's our researcher, and I was really trying to find, okay, what cell? Because if you guys are going to be there, I'm very curious what cell number Red Snyder was said to be in. And she was saying that some online sources point to cell number 21 as Snyder's, other people who have done the investigation. And if Christian does the brief tour before the investigation, maybe Amanda will point that out, Christian. But either way, Snyder was an inmate here in the North Hall who was convicted of the murder and dismemberment of his parents. He made several enemies while in prison. He got involved in many fights. He met his end when he was attacked in front of his cell, and he was stabbed I don't know if this tells you anything about the guy, 37 times.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
That's just aggression.
That's hella aggression. And I'm almost curious, because some people report seeing a ghost creeping around in the shadows. They experience strange and uncomfortable energies in this area of the North Hall, especially around his cell. And part of me almost wonders, is Red Snyder maybe a good candidate for the Shadow Man who walks around?
Oh, yeah, could be. Seems kind of aggressive.
So, in addition to that, like I said, there's the boiler room. There's the kitchen where a riot featured some deaths in there. There's the chapel, which I saw on the map, and I believe it's outside. You guys might not be able to access that based on what I saw on their more recent updates, is that some portions of this building are closed off. As with any abandoned building, there are going to be unsafe areas. So chapel might be part of that, but otherwise you have at least 4 dramatically hot spots to look around, plus maybe the gate and outside. It is a gorgeous building, but inside it is very, very eerie. So in closing, the West Virginia Penitentiary is considered one of the most haunted prisons in America. It's also been the filming location of several TV shows and movies, and it's now used as a place to train law enforcement and correctional officers in mock riot drills, which is interesting. I didn't know that.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Still up and running. Obviously, we're going to go actually visit this place. There's a lot of history here.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that this might be the place that has the most pent-up aggression that we've ever been to.
It does seem that way.
And that's what's on my mind. That's a little scary. But we'll investigate. We'll see what's going on. Damn, man.
How are you feeling, Christian?
I have always taken solace in the fact that I could hold the camera because it was like a shield between me and what was going on. I'm just observing. I'm not doing anything. And so the idea that I might not have that is making this a lot worse, especially with what Alfredo just said about this being one of the more aggressive locations we've been to. So
yeah,
it's gonna be creepy.
If you think about it, our last 2 ghost hunts have just been kind of building up in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
We got activity 2 ghost hunts ago, and then we got even more activity last ghost hunt, and so we're on this kind of streak, good or bad, whatever way you look at it. But yeah,
the trend is there.
Yeah, there's a
USS Hornet was like, you started seeing some stuff with the flashlights. This was Fredo's first chance of like actually getting something around him. Yorktown went hard, dude. We've been there twice. The second time was like definitely unnerving. And then Black Swan Inn was right after that. We did that earlier this year. Lots of exclusives and deleted scenes and uncut stuff over on the Patreon page, but some light activity. It did feel like a step back, which was nice. Sometimes you don't want to be scared out of your gourd, but there were a few moments where I was definitely just unnerved. Christian jumped into the saddle of the spirit box for the Estes method. Bro, I was just getting lit up with like phrases, words, and I was like trying to parse sentences as I was hearing constant sounds and feeling things and seeing stuff. Yeah, the psyche gets to you, but
we've had a lot of the past 2 times. We've had a lot of what could be considered success with the spirit box, the Estes method stuff. So I'm very curious to see what this location yields for that.
I agree.
Yeah, I'd love to see, I don't want to become the Estes method one-trick pony because it is so fascinating, but it was cool to see the EMF meter really rocking in Yorktown on cadences as responses happened, as sounds happened, but it was so dead in Black Swan Inn. I'm curious to see how this REM pod will work out. We had that random burst at Black Swan. Maybe placing this down in the Sugar Shack while you guys investigate the basement would be cool.
Yeah, that'll be a hot spot to place some stuff.
Man, yeah. Now we got to figure out. So we'll cook behind the scenes for you, Fredo, to keep some surprises for you. But I'm curious where we're going to put these static cameras. I think we have some good ideas, Christian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm going to maybe FaceTime me in while you're there, and I can be,
safety of this home,
I'll be your lifeline, So if one of you is doing like a solo challenge, or heck, you're just starting off, FaceTime me in, and I'll be there to cast you some good vibes from a brightly lit room here in Austin, nursing his sick pup.
Yeah, for sure. Oh. this man gonna be
like, "Hold
so
on."
brave over FaceTime. I think you should go
I can't
deeper
see.
into the cell.
Yeah.
I'll be
What's
honest.
that back there? Show me up close. I can't see. It's too dark.
Yeah, show me what's back there. Don't
Yeah.
take no one with you. No light, actually. Just kind of like,
Yeah.
give me the true experience. Boy.
It's too bright. Turn that light off.
Absolutely not.
I still envision the day where someday I'll be like on an iPad on a Segway rolling around, and maybe I'll have like a robo arm, so I could just like a robo doc or a telehealth doctor. I could just like kind of tell a ghost hunt, you know. But all right, boys. Well, this has been the West Virginia Penitentiary, aka Moundsville Penitentiary. Lots to look forward to. Task Force, if you're listening to this the day it came out or any day after it, the ghost hunt is available right now. And if you want to see the static cameras, any deleted scenes, anything extra that these boys couldn't fit into the full ghost hunt, and for anybody who just wants to see that raw, uncut stuff and wants to investigate themselves, please head to redwebpod.com. Support the show directly. We are coming up on 6 years of doing this, 2 years independent, thanks to you guys. And it's literally because of you guys that we are doing this third ghost hunt in 1 year. Like that's wild to think about. All right, with that said, Fredo, I'll see you right back here next Monday for yet another mystery.